Welcome everyone to the post-game press conference. As a reminder to the photographers, please don't block the cameras in the back, and to the journalists who have not been here for your questions, please use the two microphones on the sides. Be careful to always wear your mask at all times and do not touch the microphones. I'll ask a few questions and then I will give it to the floor. Jan, I know it's a difficult moment and game. Thank you so much for joining us, and some questions will certainly be difficult, so they need to be asked. First, the question I have is about the mistake. Why did it happen?
Well, I don't think those questions are difficult because, basically, in another iteration, it would be a draw like in 15 moves after queen 1, check queen 7. I would say it was like a change of slightly weird decisions. So starting with king f8, this somewhat more artificial than just queen 7. Trading away the queens and basically finishing the game quickly. That wasn't actually such a big deal. I think it's still very natural position. Like it's almost equal, but perhaps after h4, c4, it became slightly unpleasant. So perhaps instead of h4, I could just chase the queen, like the queen d6, and taking rook e6. So it would also be closer to equality. And indeed, b5 was just a very bad blunder. I believe at that moment the position became like slightly unpleasant, but still it was, I believe, closer to a draw. Of course, after b5, it's probably I didn't defend in the best way, but it becomes really unpleasant, and I guess, frankly speaking, it's hard to defend after such a blunder.
What did you overlook? Did you see the queen a3 check threat and thought there was something that you had as a counter, or?
Indeed I saw it, but I forgot that in the line king j8, queen e7, b takes e4, actually bishop is hanging here. So, once again, at this moment, it's especially after d takes c4, it's not as straightforward draw as it used to be.
Such a game must be extremely difficult. At the moment when you realized you had blundered, your reaction when you saw it, or what point did you realize it?
Well, I wasn't quite happy, in general, the task remains the same. I get to try to win some games. So since anyway I was down on score, so now it's instead of 1 win I need 2 wins. So, let's see what will happen.
Final question in this part, your queen to e7 avoidance, did you just not want to play a quick game, or were you trying to keep some fight alive?
No, I just didn't see a big difference between queen 7 and king f8, so I thought that anyway it will end quickly in a draw, but of course after h5 I was sort of expecting more tense game, but queen 1 was a brilliant practical decision, just to offer a draw silently.
Thanks. Magnus, I guess immediate feelings after such a win?
Very happy with the results. Obviously that's, what can I say? It's huge. Otherwise, pretty tired, and looking forward to the rest there.
The opening, you seemed a bit surprised. It took a long time after his h5 to play queen e1. What were you thinking about at this point?
I was a bit confused. I thought black's really not supposed to go bishop d6 there, and h5. Obviously, I couldn't completely know whether it was preparation or not, although I suspected that it was not. Anyway, I just sat thinking for so long that I couldn't, calculate properly. So I decided just to trade queens, and thought it was just going to be a draw. Of course, I was hoping slightly that he would go for king f8, since I thought I'd have a risk-free position there. yeah, after that, the game was kind of pleasant for me. I don't think it's very easy for black to force the draw, and as long as you kind of force the draw, then it's always going to be like a little bit of pressure that you have to neutralize. Yeah, then of course, yeah, b5 puzzled me as well, because I thought it was a blunder. I think, yeah, both of us were pretty tired at that point, but it always helps to have the initiative.
Your reaction in full when b5 actually came on the board, you were puzzled. At some point, you must have realized that this was a big mistake.
No, I suspected it was a mistake, but I thought it was just a blunder. But I had plenty of time, so I thought I'll double check, see what he's intending, and it turned out it was nothing.
At the end, you seemed especially careful to make sure you won the game. The precision at that point was just abundance of caution.
Yeah. For instance, I could have traded h4 for b3 earlier, which probably wins pretty easily, but I thought I can always do that later. I have plenty of time. There's no reason to force things quite yet. So yeah, I thought the win is not going away. Let's just be really careful.
At a point of being up +2 in a match of this duration, 6 games to go, how do you avoid feeling or not feeling overconfident or relaxing when you have such a significant lead?
I think you just focus on the next game always. That's, I mean, there's still 6 games to go against a very strong opponent, so it's never easy. But yeah, clearly 2 games is makes a huge difference to just know.
Sorry, final question for you on my part, Jan. You're down 2. How do you avoid not feeling like this is really a Herculean challenge?
No, well, I believe it's about the level of chess. So I think in the beginning of the match I got quite some chances, and hopefully if I play well, I will keep getting these chances. Yes, it's about my own play, and I don't think I should think about the score. But yeah, indeed it would be better to have like an equal score instead of this one. But we have what we have.
I'll open the floor to the journalists. Remember to use the microphones and keep your mask on. I will start.
Mike Lamb with chess.com. This question's for the champion. Late in the game, Magnus, there was a moment I don't think you were at the board where Jan put his head in his hands, looked visibly more emotional than the past. What goes through your mind when you see your opponent go through those emotions, and do you ever feel sympathy?
Yeah, I didn't particularly see that, but the World Championship is tough. You know, it's really brutal emotionally with its ups and downs, and it's part of what makes it exciting and also extremely tough.
Also, walking from NRK, question to Jan Bonaci. How do you rate your performance today?
Well, in general, I'd like to apologize for today's performance.
Why?
It was probably far below than not even, let's say, my normal level, but in general, I think it was below than just GM level.
Were you tired after 3 on the 3rd day of playing?
No, I don't think it's about being tired. It's like some weird sequence of choices, but yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward for the next games.
Yeah, Nicholas from Aftenposten in Norway. I have a question for you, Magnus. You spent many games drawing since 2016 in the World Championships. Now I won 2 games in 3. What has been the key to that change?
Yeah, I think to be honest, this second win probably doesn't happen without the first. So everything is kind of connected. For instance, I think if I'd won the first game against Carlsen when I had a winning position, or he had won one of the 2 games where he had a winning position, things could have turned out a lot different. It could have been a lot more decisive game. So it's not a shock that the second one comes quickly after the first.
How do you see your chances to win the match now?
They're very good.
Hi, Saravanan from ChessBase. Question to Magnus. When Jan played H5 on the 9th night, it took a long think, and at that point, commentators and the engines were suggesting either rook e1 or c4, probably active play against a move like H5. Obviously, you must have considered that also. What made you choose queen e1 instead of a move involving c4 rather than queen e1, which might lead to queen e7 and queen exchange and so on?
Yeah, I would say my brain was just fried, I felt that a sharp battle was not in my interest. So I was trying to calculate the lines if I'd gone for one of the principal options, but I couldn't like get any good results from it. So in the end, I decided that I'll play queen e1, and if he plays queen e7, it's probably going to be a draw. I would be fine with that.
Okay, does that mean that queen e1 was a decision over the board? It was not in your files or your preparation?
Yeah, I didn't know the move h5. I mean, if I'd known the move h5, I wouldn't think for 40 minutes and play a move that's so insipid.
Thank you.
Moving from Chess24, first a question from Magnus. What move surprised you the most, h5 or b5?
I mean, that's a weird question. I guess they were both surprising. But b5, b5 obviously. You don't expect your opponent to blunder.
Okay, and Jan, you are earning a lot of new fans online due to the way you handle these press conferences, even after a painful game.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage to stay so cool?
No, but I would say it's not the first game I lost in my career, though particularly this one was one of the worst perhaps. And sadly I think it's not the last game. So I just think it's a part of the game, and it's a part of, learning at some point. So once again, we have what we have.
Thank you.
Sagar Shah from ChessBase India. My question is to Jan. Did Magnus's knight d2 in the opening surprise you? Was bishop d6 preparation?
Well, knight g2 is obviously not the main line, I would say, but it could be quite poisonous, and I think I played this line with white at least once, and of course I studied knight d2, so perhaps bishop d6 is not the most precise move, but in general I think the position is quite balanced and has a lot of different tries. The h5 idea, I think it exists, and at least in the knight c3 line, I believe it's quite smart. So I was considering trying to understand what's the difference, but I thought it would be quite playable. Since black has its own benefits, like queen h4, king g3, queen f6, and then h4, or something like this. So I thought it would be just interesting to see what's going on in this position after it becomes slightly unbalanced.
And when you played b5 and Magnus gave queen a3 check, you were not on the board for quite some time. You were in the restroom. Did you calculate after queen a7, bishop takes h3? What was going through your mind? Because there still seemed like black could defend better.
Obviously, black could defend better, but in general, I felt like for quite some time I was regretting of playing b5. Though I think after bishop h3, okay, there is like capturing on f7, some rook e8, I believe some rook e8 check or something, yes, so...
But rook e8, there's rook g6.
Sorry?
Rook e8, there's rook g6. So I mean,
Then it's a check, it's queen e7.
yeah, I mean, I take with the queen. Because if I take with the bishop and rook e8, there's rook g6.
No, but which one?
Rook e8,
Bishop h7, if rook e8, king h7, bishop f7, there's rook g6.
Well, again, like queen e3. Okay, queen e3 check, king g8, queen takes a7,
Yeah, queen takes f7, bishop
bishop
h3,
h3, and if rook e8 check,
rook e8, king h7,
takes on f7.
bishop f7, rook g6.
Ah, rook g6 here, yeah, okay, it would be something. But I was kind of not sure about queen takes f7.
Yeah, this is probably what I have to do.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, okay, indeed, I didn't play at my best after the blunder, but it was a little bit hard to change the flow of the game, because it was like probably in a very drawish position. Of course, like blundering phone like this, it hurts.
Kristiansen from VG Norway. Question for Jan. Is it different to bounce back from a lost game in a match compared to a tournament?
Well, once I will bounce back, I will surely tell you.
Bertoldo Prato from Buono Italy. I ask you to both players, did the change of the schedule of 3 games before the rest day affect the quality of the game today? In previous matches, we have 2 games and then a rest day. Is there any impact?
Magnus? No, I think the 8-hour game affected the next games. But I'm in general all for it, that shaking it up a bit, making it more difficult for the players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree that okay, and our games is something you don't expect to happen too often. But in general, yeah, I mean, probably three games in a row is slightly more difficult than 2 games in a row. But it all starts, affecting after quite some time. Yes, so I think here in the middle of the match is more or less the same.
Mike Clement, chess.com again. My question is for Jan. You've had a couple promising positions as black, and today you declined this tacit draw offer with queen e1. I'm wondering, this idea of trying to win as white and draw as black, is that just an antiquated way of going into a match? Is that not an applicable strategy anymore?
Well, I mean, okay, I'm just trying to play in basically every position, but I would say that, king f8 was just very silly and impractical decision, but that's probably because I thought that, it will be a draw anyway, like it doesn't matter if you play queen e7 or king f8, so it was all surely an inaccuracy, and, a few next moves also were really uncalled for. But in general, I think, yeah, it's basically in every position, even if it's drawish, you can try to bring in some tension and see what happens.
Magnus, you said by this point in the match, probably both of you are a little tired. Apart from this 3 games, 2 games, 3 games thing, there is also the late start of the game at 4:30 in the afternoon. If the match could start back all over again, would you actually try to set it back to 2 games followed by a rest day and an early start to the match?
No, I think it's fine. As I said earlier, it's good to shake it up, make it more difficult for the players. It makes the match more exciting. Obviously the late start of the games mean that there could be some outliers where your schedule gets kind of messed up, but in general, I play better in the evenings, so I'm fine with it.
Rakesh from chess.com India. Question to both players. There have been only 2 instances of challengers coming back from a 2-game deficit. UA in 1935 and Fischer in 1972. But of course, those were timeless matches. But here we have a 14-game limit. So how hard or easy is going to be for the challenge to make a comeback here?
I would, it's hard to say, but I'm in a pretty good spot now, but it doesn't make any sense to me to try and compare it with other historical matches. It's better to be leading than not to be leading. That's for sure.
Jan?
No, well, once again, I would repeat that it would be much better to have an equal score. But as it seems to me, chess-wise, at least until today's game, didn't experience any serious issues. So that's why I'm quite optimistic. But of course, it's somehow a harder task than I expected.
Also, Walken from NRK, question to Magnus. How much have you been working with your schedule regarding relaxing and sleeping since the long game on Friday?
Yeah, it's been really it's been tough, and I think I really need this free day to recharge a bit and get back in a proper rhythm.
What are you going to do tomorrow?
I don't know. I'm just happy to have a rest day and have some time off.
Thank you.
The question is to Magnus. Bronstein dreamt of a whole game of chess, which was later published in a book. So, do you dream about chess? Any novelties or anything?
I dream about chess from time to time. Don't remember if it's happened during the match.
I believe we have one more question.
Hans Zimmer, the Chessable. Yesterday, Magnus, I asked you about the general opening strategy. Do you think your 2-point lead will trigger a drastic change in opening approach?
I feel like that's kind of up to him. As I said yesterday as well, at some point you kind of have to mix it up. Whether that point has come, I'm not sure. But it's more up to him than to me.
So would you say this Queen E1 decision? Would you say that there was some psychological influence of this based on your winning in Game 6?
Slight, but most of all I was just tired and pretty happy to swap down to a position that I couldn't lose. I was slightly hoping that he would not follow up h5 with a queen trade, but I didn't expect the game to be very long at that point. And as you said, it's easier to make these kind of decisions with the lead. With an equal score, I probably would have felt obliged to do something different, even if it didn't suit my mood.
So based on that answer, would you say that from a psychological perspective, you've been making decisions based on that, or in general, do you think that's something you've been taking into account in this match?
I would say a little bit, but not too much.
Thank you.
We don't have a question for Twitter today, so I'll ask this last one then. Jan, before this match, you must have prepared psychologically in game theory. What happens if you're down a couple of games? Not that you wanted it, but it could certainly happen. Any thoughts as you'd like to share as your mindset in your preparation to now handling the situation?
No, obviously that wasn't planned.
Magnus, I'd ask you, would you relax now? But I guess that another question then would be, do you try to shut things down and force him to come after you?
We will see, won't we? I mean, the match clock is in my favor. That's for sure.
All right, well, that concludes the press conference for today. Tomorrow, there will be no game, it will be a rest day. The next day will begin at 16:30 on Tuesday. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great night.